This is the KMAX Sports Network.
Started doing this in 2011. We took a 2-year hiatus with TNIA in 13 and 14. We've been live in 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, now 18. I am the so-called V of the T, the voice of the Timberwolves, Brad Cohn. We are live tonight from Majores near the intersection of Cypress Creek Road and La Caline, the same strip center as Randall's. We'll be here for the next hour and a half. If you want to come on down, it is National Cheeseburger Day, by the way. And I did my part by ordering the Mags Special, bacon, cheese, jalapeno, and an egg. Come on down and try one yourself. Joining me as always here on Timberwolf Night America, the King of Laces Out, the Donut Hole, the wonderful Willard of Oz, lifetime Timberwolf, Josh Willard.
Helps to have the volume on. A lot of nicknames, a lot of history right there, boys. But a good job this past week getting it done. Excited to talk about it and get ready for this week's game. And I don't know, man, the defense played well. And we got some good linebackers right in front of us.
And the great Les Clary is our quality assurance agent tonight, monitoring the broadcast from the high-tech KMAX studios, making sure we don't sound like one of those rotating robo car wash rags slapping against your window. Some special guests tonight, the linebackers, as Josh alluded to. We'll be talking with the LBs a little bit later in the show. With us tonight are Timberwolves Sam Muir, Sebastian Duran, Jackson Rogers, Lance White, Noah Morales, Javion Mays, and with them, Coach Steve Battles. Before we get going, I would like to once again bash the journalistically amateurish rag that our metropolitan area settles for as a newspaper. The Austin American-Statesman, for the umpteenth time last week, ignored Cedar Park football. On Thursday, a veteran reporter who should certainly know better generated a list of the picks by him and 2 other reporters of the quote-unquote biggest games in the Central Texas area. There were 15 games listed, including such nuggets of football excellence as Bastrop and Connolly. Leander and Stony Point, 2 teams picked to finish last and next to last in their district. And Crockett, you got to go back 10 years to find their last 10 wins, versus something called Manor New Tech. Not included in their studied list of purportedly the biggest games in Central Texas was one featuring 2 teams that between them in their last 3+ seasons were 75-9 and had played in 19 playoff games, winning 14 of them. A clash between a huge 6A West Texas powerhouse that hadn't lost a regular season game since 2015 and had won 3 straight district titles and had gone 36-4 since 2014 ended, versus the state's top 5A power since 2012, who'd won 6 straight district titles and had gone 39-5 in that same time frame. That game that somehow snuck by the American Statesman's team of alleged sports reporters while they were busy salivating over Crockett and Manor New Tech was San Angelo Central versus Cedar Park, which arguably was actually the biggest game in Central Texas Friday night. Fie on those amateurish and incompetent so-called sports journalists. And this isn't the first time this football program has been snubbed by the American Statesman. It's not even the 2nd or the 5th or the 10th. This is routine. I'm hacked like this here because it's gone on for a decade and a half now. I'm tired of it. It will no doubt continue to happen, and when it does, I'll continue to talk badly about them over it.
I just don't know how many statement wins a program needs to have. I mean, going back, I think it was the 2009 season when Cedar Park played state-ranked Stony Point at Bible and
nationally ranked in the nation.
And, I mean, we had Nathan Thornhill, Brian Hogan came in and did some work. Ryan Roberts absolutely took out one of their big tight ends who looked like LeBron James out there. And, I mean, so we started having these statement wins, and then you start putting together long playoff runs, and then you start putting together state championships and still not getting the recognition. I don't understand really what you need to do.
Don't get it.
I mean, you're doing everything you can, guys. You've done well.
I guess maybe the subscription numbers for Cedar Park for the Statesmen just aren't very high, so
That's
they don't
right.
figure they got to talk about it or something. I don't know. Now, Josh, this program was at risk of something that they'd never done before going into Friday night, and that was starting the season 0-3. In fact, a loss would have tied the second longest losing streak ever at Cedar Park at 4 straight. And in a sense, it was almost that bad already. We had not had a truly complete manhandler type of game like we've gotten used to since the regular season closer at Elgin when we spanked the Wildcats 36-20. Recall we were down 14-3 at the half to Magnolia in the first round of the playoffs before coming back to win. We were down 14-0 at the half to Ennis in the second round before somehow pulling that one out of the fire. And we lost badly to Manville to end 2017 and to Vandy and Cedar Ridge to start 18. In fact, we hadn't even had a halftime lead since that Elgin game. We hadn't had a truly good, complete performance since 6 games ago. What we saw Friday night, in the sunken confines of the Gup, was for me like an addict getting his first fix in months. That full game complete performance is what Cedar Park football has been producing with regularity since 2010, and man, was it refreshing and fulfilling to see it happen again and against a great team like San Angelo Central.
And you just knew Cedar Park was going to get it figured out, and once you've had all these playoff runs, you can kind of compare these programs to at the professional level. You have the San Antonio Spurs, you have the New England Patriots, and you understand that it's a long season and that you can have time to figure things out now. When you incorporate the losses from last season, well, that's last season, Brad. Don't bring that in here right now.
That's right.
We're just talking about these first 2 games, but
hey, different coaching staff in a lot of ways.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But still, the Timberwolves, I mean, they're starting to figure it out on the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, I mean, the pressure is just nuts. That's all you got to do for 4 quarters, and that's what they've been doing. And last game, I really thought that they put that backup quarterback in a bit of a frenzy the entire game.
Had him backing up.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what's on the agenda tonight. A review of the San Angelo Central game and some of the superlatives that found their way into the school record book as a result. A review of other scores of interest in 11-5A and around Central Texas. Conversation with the Cedar Park linebackers. Josh's segment, The Wonderful World of Willard. A fun trivia game with the guys and a look ahead at Katy Cinco Ranch. And, you know, speaking of halftime deficits, which I did a moment ago, we'd said that we had our last good game against Elgin, winning 36-20. At halftime that night, we led 28-7. That was the last commanding halftime lead we held prior to Friday night against Central since before Max Sexton went down last year. That's a span of 10 games. Prior to Elgin last season, we led Hutto just 14-12 at the half, of course, pulling well away from them in the second. Prior to Hutto, we were tied with Connolly 7-7 at halftime before getting out by the skin of our teeth, 14-7. And, of course, the phenomenal comeback against Georgetown the week before started from a 27-7 halftime hole. Now, something I also track in the school record book is how often a team, either team, us or them, comes back from a halftime deficit to win the game. Perhaps kind of surprisingly, it almost never happens. We did it 3 times after Sexton went down last season, Georgetown, Magnolia, and Ennis. But those were actually rarities. Since I started tracking this with the 2005 season, the team that trails at halftime of a Cedar Park football game has won only 19 out of 161 games. Fourth quarter comebacks are even more rare. The team that trails going in the fourth quarter of a Cedar Park game since 2005 is just 9 and 152. So it's not that second half or fourth quarter comebacks are impossible, but just don't count on it much. Nearly all the time, Cedar Park football games are decided in the first half. The halftime leader wins 94% of the games.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about when Cedar Park's up at with the offensive side of the ball, second half adjustments, when Cedar Park's up, it's kind of hard.
Now, most of the reason that stat is true, though, is that we almost always lead at halftime. And our coaches and our players do a great job of making sure the other team, you know, we don't let the heel off their throat in the second half. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of the reason that stat is true. All right, review the San Angelo Central game. Ryder Hernandez got his first start at quarterback due to an injury to Ryan Fiala. Unlike our first 2 games this season, the Cedar Park offense roared out of the gate, even though their first possession stalled after going 31 yards, turning it over on downs at the Central 44. But the Black Rain was primed to absolutely destroy the Bobcat offense, putting up the first of 6 negative yardage possessions against Central and forcing a 3-and-out. After the punt, the T-Wolves started at their own 18. The first play gained 6 yards, and on the second, Hernandez hit Carson Neal with a short slant from the left side. Neal then outmaneuvered and outsped everyone for a 76-yard scoring play. And this is our offensive audio highlight of the week, and let's see if we can get that going for you. Crank that way up. Here we go. It'll start in just a second. The internet is playing with us a little bit.
The internet is never on your side.
The internet is never on your side. Well, folks, we may not have that for you because it's not going. Well, shoot. We don't have that.
We'll get it going. Whenever it gets going,
whenever it gets going, we'll play it. Maybe it'll be later in the show. All right, Justin Bohr's kick made it 7-0 Timberwolves with less than 4 minutes gone in the game. It was Cedar Park's first lead since the closing gun of the second-round playoff win over Ennis last year. Then another 3-and-out from Central against the Black Rain. A bad snap on their punt, being chased down, so it was a 4-and-out, by the punter to end that possession with 21 yards of losses in those 4 plays. Jonathan Stockwell rumbled over from the 7 for Cedar Park's first rushing touchdown of the season, and our first unmentionable stat.
Ooh, up by 14.
14-point lead. Since that Elgin game last year, there was still 5:53 left in the first. Guys, if you ever heard of our figure called the unmentionable stat, we don't mention it during games because the figure will jinx it. But Cedar Park has never lost a football game when they have taken a 14-point lead at any point in the game, even early like this one. We never lose. We're not afraid to say it because I'm knocking on wood. We don't say it in the broadcast, though.
That's right.
All right, after a short gain on the first play of the next possession, Malachi Brown fumbled it away to the Black Rain, and Cedar Park was again set up deep in Bobcat territory at the 33. But during the only sack of the game, Hernandez fumbled it back to Central, way back at the 48. Finally, on their 4th possession of the night, Central got their first down. But even that was due to a penalty. No matter, 3 plays later, they had to punt again, pinning the Timberwolves back at their own 7. The offense then marched 93 yards in 13 plays, scoring on a 3-yard run by Daniel Hernandez. Bohr's kick made it 21-0 just a couple of minutes into the second quarter. A decent kickoff return started Central off at their own 47. They earned a first down this time, and that was it. After crawling 14 yards in 5 plays, they punted again. Cedar Park started at their own 3, and for the first time all night, the Bobcat defense put up a 3-and-out of their own, forcing a punt from the 10. They started at their own 44, promptly lost 2 yards in 3 plays, and punted it back. Cedar Park started at their own 37 and was on the move 15 yards and 3 plays later when Central's Jayshon Hall grabbed a tipped pass and sprinted 40 yards for a pick 6. The second in as many games against Cedar Park. The first kick, second in 3 games. Didn't have one last game. The kick failed, and the score was 21-6 with 4:05 left in the half. After a quick exchange of punts starting at their own 43, Cedar Park put together a terrific clock management drive, going 57 yards in 5 plays in less than 2 minutes to score with 6 seconds left on a beautiful pass over the middle from Ryder to Will Udoye from 15 yards out. The halftime score was a commanding 28-6. I've got to wet my whistle here before I go on, guys. Good old iced tea. All right. The Black Rain threw another 3-and-out at the Bobcats, this time giving up 0 yards, and Central punted from their own 14. Cedar Park started from their 43 and proceeded to grind out 53 yards in 11 plays. Daniel Hernandez scoring again on another short run. Bohr's kick made it 35-6 halfway through the third quarter. At this point, too late to matter much, Central found some offense. They went 16 yards in 3 plays, getting their 3rd first down of the night and only their 2nd earned. We're deep in the 3rd quarter here before they earned their 2nd first down. On their next snap, Brown hit Tanner Dabbert for an explosive 60-yard touchdown that would be the only offensive touchdown of the night for the Bobcats. Kick made it 35-13 with 4:36 left in the 3rd. Both teams then suffered back-to-back 3-and-outs, exchanging punts. Then they both traded one-play possessions, ending in turnovers, a fumble by Cedar Park, followed by Tamer Alzer's interception of Brown to take the ball right back and setting up the Timberwolves at their own 6. The first 3 plays moved the ball out to the 20, and it looked like Cedar Park was on the move again. The next play was a 15-yard completion, but during the run after the catch, the ball was dropped, and Central's Tristan Lopez picked it up for a 35-yard scoop and score for the 2nd defensive touchdown of the night by Central, whose D would outscore its O this night, 12-10. Interestingly, both tries following their defensive touchdowns failed, with 1:25 left in the 3rd. It's now 35-19. On the next possession, Cedar Park went only 11 yards before having to punt again, and Central started their own 13. There followed the only other possession of the night that went well for the Bobcats. They cruised 76 yards on 12 plays, but the Black Rain stopped them at the 11. Central knocked through a 28-yard field goal, and suddenly There was some trepidation at the Gup. With 8:36 left in the game, our commanding 35-6 lead from just 9.5 minutes earlier had shriveled to 35-22. 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points would win it for San Angelo. But the offense would come to life again, gobbling up 71 yards and most of the clock in a 12-play drive that unfortunately would become the third fourth-quarter first-and-goal instance in consecutive games that would result in 0 points. A failed fourth down play at the 3 gave the ball over to Central. But on the first play, a massive pass rush forced a sack in the end zone for the final points of the game. This is our defensive audio highlight, if we can get it going. Let's see if we can. All right, let me get the mic in here and give it a try. Hey, here we go.
Well, starting at their own 3-yard line.
And that gives an opportunity for the Black Rain defense to really pin their ears back and bring pressure.
So with 2:26 to play in the ball game, Cedar Park on top, 35-22. Malachi Brown and the Bobcats going to try to make some magic.
Keep it in front.
Twins to the left, one man in the backfield. Here comes the pressure, and he's going to be dropped. He threw the ball. That's got to be intentional grounding.
Intentional grounding for a safety.
It should be an intentional ground. They called it a fumble? Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
There was a lot of confusion on the play.
I don't think the refs even know what's going on yet. They're gonna
And
They typically don't, but that's okay.
It wasn't a fumble. It was an intentional grounding. He was either down and it was a safety, or intentionally grounded and it's a safety. So either way, it's a safety. And since we got that one to work, let's go back to the audio offensive highlight and see if we can get that one going too for folks. Let's see here. Boy, that one still doesn't want to
That
crank.
one just doesn't want to.
Doesn't want to crank. Okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. We got one of them in. All right, this pushed the score to 37-22 with 2:07 left. After the free kick, Cedar Park went 18 yards in 4 plays before punting Central back to their own 5. Bobcats were on 1 play and time ran out. Final score, 37-22, in the definition of the game that really wasn't that close.
No, it was just back to Cedar Park football, and defensively, y'all played unreal. Just put unreal pressure on the run game and just making them have to throw, knowing that they had that backup quarterback. And I mean, really, the only thing he could do were those rollouts and trying to, be a dual threat. If the run was there, he could run it. But the coverage behind y'all was good from y'all secondary. Your defensive line was doing an excellent job with the pass rush. Y'all were there to clean up the mess. And, it was a fun game to watch. And then offensively, with Ryder getting the start, it was good to just see him work with an offense for 4 quarters. And I thought he did an excellent job. The run game, still going to get things rolling right there. But I think that's because you got a lot of youngsters back there. But, that's just good for the future of this program as well.
And here are the rushing statistics so far on the season, just 3 games in. We've got 99 carries for 300 yards. So not the yard per carry average we like. We like 4.5, pushing 5. It's at 3.03. 300 yards exactly. About half of it was in this game. We got 148 in this last game. But, of course, on the upstring. And we got 3 touchdowns rushing on the season. Again, all of them last game. So, yeah, the rushing coming alive.
And the rushing stats didn't really prove much last game. They weren't eye-popping, but they were crucial carries and they were crucial yards. They extended drives, got first downs, found the end zone 3 times. You can't say enough. They did a great job, the O-line as well, picking it up from those previous 2 games. You never want to play a pissed-off Cedar Park team. So...
Here are the season totals for the running back. Stockwell leads with 88. Haverda has 82. Fiala has 51. Neal with 42. Daniel Hernandez 31. Ryder Hernandez 30. And Aiden Holly 3 yards. Passing, Fiala on the season 27 of 50. 2 picks, 2 touchdowns, 346 yards, a 6.9 yards per attempt average, 115 yards per game, 54% completions. Hernandez 36 of 65, 1 pick, 5 touchdowns, 573 yards, 8.8 yards per attempt, 191 yards a game, 56.4 completion percentage. And here are the receiving numbers. Carson.
That's unreal.
3 games, 556 yards. He's got well over half of our receiving total of 919. Willadoy, 12 catches for 170. O'Neal has 28 catches, too, by the way. Herb Street, 9 for 80. Stockwell, 5 for 61. Mayu, 3 for 20. Daniel Hernandez, 3 for 15. Sneed, Esparza, and Lilly all with a catch each. Sneed for 10 yards, Esparza 6, Lilly for 1. The only touchdowns, Willadoya with 1, Carson, Neal with 5. And here's something, looking at possessions, too. Cedar Park possessions so far in 2018. Total of 41 offensive possessions, 10 touchdowns, no field goals, no missed field goals, 13 punts in 41 possessions, 4 interceptions, 4 lost fumbles, 9 times over on downs, no safeties, ended the game or half once. Less than 10 yards, 29.27% of the time, 12 of them. 3 and outs, 17% of the time, 7 of the 41. For the opponents, 41 possessions as well. Fewer touchdowns, 9 in 41. Field goals, 1 in 41. No missed field goals. 18 punts to 13 for us. 2 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles. Over on downs 3 times, 1 safety, ended the game and a half 4 times. Less than 10 yards, 21 of 41 times. 51.2% of opponent possessions go less than 10 yards. 3 and outs, which is different, you know. You might get a first down and then lose a bunch of yardage and have a less than 10-yard possession and ran 6 plays.
Right.
So that's different than a 3 and out. 3 and outs are 31.7%. 13 times in 41 possessions. So 34 times in 41 possessions for the opponent this year in 3 games, they either went less than 10 yards and or they had a 3 and out.
Good.
That's amazing.
That's unreal.
Now, last week we mentioned some big play stats I've been keeping since the Joe Willis era. We talked about a stat that we've often highlighted these last 4 years or so, and that's the steadiness at 48% of the percentage of opponent offensive snaps that go for 1, 0, or negative yardage. That 48% has been very consistent ever since I started tracking this in 2014. But through the first 2 games of 2018, though, that number had dropped to 38%. But after the terrific defensive performance against Central, that number for 2018 has now climbed back up to 42.8.
There we go, on the rise.
Now, looking at big plays and how much the opponent's yardage is accrued that way, in the opener, Vandegrift got 115 of their 282 total yards on 5 of their 60 plays, 41% of their yards on 8% of their plays. Those 5 big plays, they averaged 23 yards a play, and all other 51 plays, they averaged 3 yards a snap. Similar numbers against Cedar Ridge. Against Central, a bit different. 132 of 192 on 4 of 48 plays. They got 69% of their yards on 8% of their plays. They averaged 33 yards on those 4 big plays, and on all others, just 1.4 yards a snap.
That's a lot of hard film to watch for Central.
I imagine
offensive film. That's brutal.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk about the impact of this game on the school record book. Back in a flash with more Timberwolf Night in America.
Army Ant Moving calls Cedar Park home for movers that residents and businesses can rely on. For outstanding moving expertise and trustworthy estimates, Army Ant Moving stands above the rest. Their reputation speaks for itself. They've received the Angie's List Superior Service Award for the last 2 years. Their movers are highly trained and experienced. So whether you need to move your household to a new home across town or an entire corporate office to a new location, your valuables are in knowledgeable and reliable hands with Army Ant Moving Company. Check them out at armyantmoving.com. Head to Majori's for food, drinks, and fun. They have specials almost every night, from $4 burgers to $1 off on pastas to $7 Mexican night. And on Mondays, kids eat free. Bring the whole crew and have a great time at Majori's. They're a favorite hangout of a lot of Cedar Park football people, from fans to Booster Club folks to players to coaches. Great appetizers, pasta dishes, seafood, fresh green salads, burgers, pizza, sandwiches, buffalo wings, baby back ribs, stromboli, and more. Food, drinks, and fun at Majori's. Check them out at magstexas.com. Experience the difference at Toyota of Cedar Park, one of the Austin area's newest automobile dealerships. Their new vehicle department will always stock the newest Toyota models you need. The pre-owned vehicles they choose must each pass a rigorous inspection and be in tip-top shape before they make it to their lot or website for you to see. And if you're looking for budget-friendly Toyota certified used vehicles, they've got you covered, and you can rest easy knowing that the best new cars make the best used cars. That's Toyota of Cedar Park at toyotaofcedarpark.com.
A little Sebastian Duran there, hungry like the wolf. This team really is. Back to Timberwolf Night in America now, live from the 613 in Majores. Plenty of time left for you to come on down and sit in with us if you'd like. Josh and Brad and some Cedar Park Timberwolves. We just recapped the San Angelo Central game played at the Gup last Friday night. The offense was really hot with 493 yards on 85 plays. The second time in a row, they were just one good play away from getting 500 yards of offense. The running game got going with 145 yards. Passing game got 348. The Black Rain held the Bobcats to just 192 total yards, just 48 on the ground and 144 in the air. Central had just 10 yards passing at halftime and just 20 on the ground at the break. Josh, here's some facts from this game that stood out for me. I want to get your take on each of these. Now, some terms definition first. Net ball movement is something we measure on a drive chart. Net ball movement is the total number of yards between the yard line where a team's possession starts and where it ends. That's different from total offense because it factors in the effect of on-field position of penalties. You might get 23 yards of offense on a possession and end up with a total ball movement figure of just 8 yards because you suffered a 15-yard penalty. Or it could go the other way. You could have had 38 yards of net ball movement because your opponent had a 15-yard penalty. So here we go. The net ball movement in the first quarter, Cedar Park 204, Central -5.
Whoa! I mean, that is unreal, though.
It is.
That's video game-esque.
It's like we're playing a middle school team.
That's what happens if you get on the sticks with me. I'm just saying. Okay, side note.
When the score got to 35-6, we're talking about halfway through the third quarter, net ball movement was 364-3.
Oh, my God.
3!
That's
halfway
nuts.
through the third quarter, they had 3 yards of net ball movement.
It
Lala
felt like
Reason
it
was our guest tonight.
It felt like that.
It did feel like that.
I mean, the defense were making plays all night.
With 2:27 left in the third quarter, Central has their first snap inside the Cedar Park 42 all night. It's at the 16, and it's an INT by Tamaralzer.
Yeah, just when you thought they had something right there.
When the score reaches 35-19 after their touchdown fumble return, they had 77 yards of ball movement, 76 on their touchdown drive, and 40 of that on one play.
Unreal.
Central had 2 76. This is my favorite, I think. Central had 2 76-yard scoring drives, one a touchdown, one a field goal, totaling 152 yards. Their total net ball movement for the entire game was 157 yards.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Don't look at the stats.
And here's the final one. 6 of their possessions went for negative yardage. I dug back. I ran out of time. I went back about 7 years and didn't find a game where the opponent had that many possessions go for negative yardage.
None of those early Timberwolf games, like in the
had a lot of them with 4 and 5.
I feel like against
Never had
Lago
6.
Vista, maybe.
Well, I only went back about 7 years.
Oh, okay, that's true. That's true. Understandable.
All right, here are my observations from updating the school record book. I send these to Coach Absek over the weekend. Stop me if you want to comment on any of these, Josh. Ryder Hernandez, 351 yards of total offense, is the 9th best ever in one game at Cedar Park. It was his first start, and the best first start performance ever by any Cedar Park quarterback.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Ryder's 348 passing yards are the 5th most ever in one game at Cedar Park. His first start.
Most of those Mackey in front of him.
Yeah, and I think there's a Grimm. Ryder's 40 passing attempts are the 2nd most ever in one game at Cedar Park and the most ever in a victory.
That kills me, being a former wideout. That we threw the ball 9 times when I played at Cedar Park. You don't understand.
He had to block.
It was miserable. It was pretty fun, though. I like to hit safeties.
Won a lot of games.
We did.
His 25 completions are the 5th most ever in one game in program history. The 76-yard touchdown pass from Hernandez to Carson Neal was the 4th longest pass play in Cedar Park history.
And thought it was just going to be a first down.
And with the 80-yard touchdown pass last week, Hernandez and Neal have, in back-to-back games, teamed up for 2 of the 4 longest pass plays in program history.
It's a good connection.
Neal's 9 catches ties for the 4th most ever in one Cedar Park game.
What was it, 14 last week?
Yeah.
The week before? Excuse
Right.
me?
Or last week.
Right. Last.
Yeah, last week. The previous last week.
Right.
Carson Neal's 28 catches this season in 3 games ties him with Ethan Fry's entire output in 2011 for the 11th most in one Cedar Park season. He's played 3 games. He's already about to push the top 10 for most catches in a season. Woo!
Yeah.
Neal's career total of 104 catches is now the new career record at Cedar Park, passing the record of 101 set by Peyton Sawicki just last year.
This is unbelievable, and he's got a lot of football left to go. That's going to be a stat that's not touched for a while. Record.
Neal's career total of 1,364 receiving yards is now up to second in Cedar Park history, just 104 yards behind Tommy Levine's record set in 2015. That means he breaks that in about the third quarter this week.
That's right. With how things have been going.
Neal's 178 receiving yards against Central moved his season total to 556, jumping him from 20th to 7th on the list of most receiving yards in a single season.
How many 1,000-yard receivers?
I think we've only got like two,
right.
three others besides Neal, I think. Neal's 178 receiving yards would have set the single-game record for Cedar Park if he hadn't jumped that record from 173 to 308 just last week. Neal thus has the best two single-game receiving performances in school history in the last 2 weeks. And that 178 against Central this last week is the highest receiving yards total ever in a win. Neal's touchdown catch against Central puts his career total to 12, tying Dylan Cox for third most in program history. The second record is 13, and the record is 14. That he'll break next week at this pace, too.
Absolutely.
The team has 962 yards of offense in the last 2 games. The 348 team passing yards against Central is the 8th most in one game in team history. This was one of only 5 games in Cedar Park history that had 2 scoring drives of over 80 yards, 82 and 93.
Only 5 games. That's interesting.
Yeah. Only 20 times in school history, and that's over 230 games they've played, as the defense held an opponent to fewer than the 192 yards to which they held Central.
Wow. Astonishingly,
the 20 yards the defense allowed Central in the first half was only the 14th fewest ever allowed in one half. 14th? That's a tribute to great defenses over the years. You hold somebody 20 yards, and that's only good for 14th best.
Oh, my gosh. That's insane.
The 7 first downs allowed Central ties several other games for the 5th fewest allowed in one game. That's amazing, too, that's only 5th, not second or third. Now, only Chris Ross, with 57, has more wins than Carl Absek, who has 40 as a Cedar Park head coach. But Carl's loss total of 5 leads the pack. Mark Weaver had 28, Ross 25, and Willis 8. All right, time for Josh's segment. We like to call it The Wonderful World of Willard.
We just need to check back in and just see how everything is going. Regroup about our Longhorns. A big statement win right there. I mean, statement
Very
against
satisfying.
a freshman quarterback, so not necessarily the full USC Trojans that, can you imagine if Sam Darnold would have stayed? Oh, that might have been a long night for the Longhorns, but taking care of business, and offensively it kind of just, they had some explosive plays. And
wait a minute, I don't know. Darnold never showed a lot of mobility to get away from the pressure.
That's
that
true.
Poor guy faced.
And he threw a ton of
pressure and sacks.
He threw a ton of interceptions too. But I thought the Horns played a good game. They had a lot of big offensive plays too, exciting ones. But still, offensively, I think just Sam Ellinger, it's a limited offense. I don't think his ceiling is that high, and I think UT's got to figure that out for the long haul.
You know, this game reminded me a lot of probably at least 40 Cedar Park wins since 2010, in that we take everybody's best shot, they're hyped up on adrenaline, they got a game plan that we're still trying to figure out early, and we go down by multiple scores in the first quarter, and then we just crush their throat with our heel the rest of the night. They get nothing else, and we win going away. And that's why Cedar Park has won so many games. It really reminded me of a Cedar Park game.
The second half adjustments, good coaching, and just getting guys excited to go out there and play football. You got to want to go out there and hit at the end of the day. If you don't want to do that, it's going to be a long game, and I think the Horns, they kind of come out flat. But they did figure it out. They put a lot of points on the board. That explosive touchdown from little Jordan Humphrey getting loose looked like Carson Neal out there. But it was exciting to see that, and now they got TCU coming in.
You know, that guy's like 6'5", and 230. He needs to change his name to Big Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, TCU coming in is going to be tough. They gave Ohio State a pretty good
a scare.
Yeah,
but then Ohio State, they put it on him. But
did you know that this last week, you want to talk power conferences, and supposedly the Big Ten is one. Ohio State's there, and they're pretty darn good. You know, the Big Ten lost 7 games to unranked non-conference opponents just Saturday.
And
how's that jump to the Big Ten working out for you, Nebraska?
Right. Jim's alma mater, Appalachian State, almost getting Penn State in that opening week, too.
Oh, that would have been 8.
Oh, that would have been awesome. It would have been great. But so the Horns, looking forward to this week. It should be a good one. A lot of rain coming in now, though. So potentially it's going to be a 3:30 kick. You can come find me at the Krispy Kreme stand. Just come say what up. That would be really cool. I'd really appreciate it.
I was a little disappointed looking around the state, and they talk about it. Well, every school does this. Tickets sold they use as their big attendance figure. It was a record attendance at Texas 101 something or other. But you look, especially in the season ticket section where all the oldsters have season tickets between the 20s underneath the press box, at least half of those seats were empty.
Oh.
I was really disappointed in that.
Oh.
And the Sky Cam would go over the stands here and there, and there's
That's
empty
terrible.
seats. I guarantee you there weren't more than 85,000 people there. But that happens everywhere. You'll see the big Penn State Stadium. They'll say, "Oh, record crowd of 105,000."
Well, and those
you can count 20,000 empty seats.
Yeah, but those, especially at those big stadiums like DKR, those end zone clubs are pretty active for those ticket holders. But yeah, so excited for the Horns this week. Checking in with my brother. My brother's the offensive coordinator at Red Oak with Coach Ross.
They won big.
They won big, and it's exciting for my brother to be able to have an offense at his fingertips per se with the Ross supervision, of course. But they're changing things up at Red Oak, and so it's cool to see them having success. And they got to play in a dome last week.
Cool.
That was a pretty cool one up in Frisco. I think it's where the Cowboys, their training facility or something like that. But yeah, so other than that, that's pretty much it. Excited for this week.
Chris Ross called me about 2 days before our first game with Vandy to shoot the breeze, and he said they scrimmaged Joe's team, Colleyville Heritage, and handled them easily.
Oh.
Did you hear anything from Brad about that?
Just not too much because I think there's a lot of bad blood, honestly, with my brother leaving. I don't think that was a part of the plan.
Joe was upset to lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we didn't want to lose Brent Britton either.
I know.
We got a pretty good guy to replace him. Coach Steve Battles is taking over the defense here, and of course the defense doesn't look like it's missed much of a beat at all. All right, time for another short break. We'll be right back with more of the Cedar Park linebackers after this.
Mouton Southern Bistro. It's not Cajun per se, but rather a fusion of Texas and Louisiana. It's more like Cajun and Creole meet familiar Texas ingredients. Try their 3 kinds of jambalaya. Very Cajun and very good. But their top seller is the chicken fried steak. They've also got great pasta dishes, shrimp and crawfish, gourmet burgers served on Hawaiian sweet rolls, and terrific gumbo. Always great ambiance, especially out on the porch. Even more so when Timberwolf Night in America is out on the porch Tuesday nights, the week of home games. That's Mouton Southern Bistro, near the corner of Cypress Creek Road and Lakeline, just behind Sonic. Don't play games with your money. As one of the country's largest distributors of U.S. government-issued coins, U.S. Money Reserve has helped hundreds of thousands of people make decisions about gold, silver, and platinum. In business for over a decade with 400,000 satisfied clients, U.S. Money Reserve has a AAA rating from the Business Consumer Alliance, a buyback guarantee, and fast and insured shipping. Call 866-646-8465. CallFire, texting and calling solutions that help you reach more customers. Over 4 billion messages delivered. Engage your customers with text and phone call reminders to develop customer relationships and alert them to new opportunities. Save valuable time by easily sending personalized messages to all of your prospects and customers in minutes, not hours. Increase revenue by activating lead lists, tracking advertising performance, and shortening collection cycles. Thousands trust CallFire. Go to callfire.com and sign up now to reduce customer attrition, increase sales, and start direct customer conversations. Majori's is the host of Timberwolf Night in America on Tuesday nights during the weeks of road games. Brad and Josh will be there live to talk Cedar Park football. Majori's is in the same strip center as Randall's on Cypress Creek Road. They've got specials almost every night, from $4 burgers to $1 off pastas to $7 Mexican night. And on Mondays, kids eat free. Bring the whole crew and have a great time at Majori's. Great appetizers, pasta dishes, seafood, fresh green salads, burgers, pizza, sandwiches, buffalo wings, baby back ribs, stromboli, and more. Food, drinks, and fun at Majori's. Check them out at magstexas.com.
been that long.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. Time has flew by.
Now, I know you were on our show last year in the segment, but we realize that our audience turns over. Cedar Park fans turn over about a quarter each year as the seniors and families graduate off the top and new players come in from the bottom. You go through your path to Cedar Park. Where you went to high school, college, where you coached before Cedar Park, and how you got here.
Well, I've coached for 28 years, so I don't want to take up the whole show. I'm originally from Oklahoma, and then made it from Oklahoma to Texas 15 years ago. I spent time in Central Texas and down in Katy, and now I'm at Cedar Park.
Where were you in Katy?
I went to the new school, and it opened up Morton Ranch for 1 year before I came back to Central Texas.
And you've got more than one job, kind of like Carl does, coaching the running backs and the head coach. You're the defensive coordinator, and you coach linebackers.
Yeah, I'm also the strength and conditioning coordinator. I was the co-defense coordinator for Brent, and I've also been the special teams coordinator since I've been here.
You know, you need a raise.
I love special
That's too many
teams,
jobs.
man.
But do we have a budget cut? Do we have fewer coaches? It's too many jobs. What do you like best about this?
About Cedar Park?
Just about coaching football, high school
Coaching
kids.
football, I mean, it's a passion. When I first started out, the first time I walked down the field as a coach, I knew that's what I wanted to do. My father was a coach, an educator. My mother was an educator. I swore I would never do it. And then I walked out there and started coaching, and I never looked back.
You know, it seems to me that if you're running the program right, and we seem to do that at Cedar Park, you get a chance to work with kids who are a little different than the full crowd of kids in a high school. You get kids who want something, who buy into what the learned instructors are telling them to do, and go in wholeheartedly and achieve that goal. And that's got to be very fulfilling for you as coaches, too.
Yeah, I call Cedar Park the perfect storm. You have the kids, which are a reflection of the parents and the community. You have administration, the teachers, the staff. Everything is you don't have all that everywhere you go. And, everything's pointing in the right direction here, including the kids. And it is a blessing to be at Cedar Park. My wife is an educator at the high school. I have a son who's a sophomore at the high school. I have a daughter in the junior high. And then I coach there. So
Wow.
Kind of a family affair.
That's busy. That is busy. Steve Battles, defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, joining us tonight. Coach, could you hand the mic down? We'll start talking to these young men now. Javion Mays, just a sophomore, I believe, right, Javion?
Yes, sir.
And getting some playing time on the Black Rain. How's that feel so far?
It's been good. It was hard, kind of hard, stepping up, moving, played running back all last year, but Coach Battles asked me if I was up for the challenge, and I said yeah.
A conversion.
It was great.
Yes.
It was great.
That's awesome.
That means, Coach, maybe that, if we have running back problems, we've got a resource that we could step to, perhaps. This program's done that in the past with Thomas Middleton, went from linebacker to running back, had a great year. Thomas Hutchings did the same thing. Tyler Levine did the same thing. We kind of got a history of doing that, actually.
A lot of teas.
Javion.
Thank you so much.
So, what is it you like about being a linebacker versus a running back?
I mean, you don't get hit as much as practice, but also it's great.
Plus.
It's great being a part of the Black Rain because when in doubt, we can always depend on our defense. We love our offense, but we know our defense has our backs no matter what. Got a great linebacker coach in Coach Battles, and it's just awesome being on defense.
What's the hardest thing for a linebacker to do during a game from play to play?
Probably run. It gets tiring. It really does. It gets tiring.
I know
knowing
our
your job is
kind of
easy.
designed to free up the linebackers to be the weapons of impact most
Yes,
of the
sir.
time. I would like that. That's the reason I played football, is to hit people.
Yeah.
That's got to be the most fun, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love hitting people.
What are your plans for after high school? I know it's young, 10th grade, but it's never too early to start thinking of some dreams.
I want to go D1 to any big school, to play football. But if that doesn't work out, then I want to become an engineer.
An engineer,
Yeah.
Interesting, we've had probably 1 out of every 3 players this year has said that they want to be an engineer. I love that. America needs more engineers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear that. Javion Mays, our sophomore linebacker. Now, Javion, if you'll pass the mic on to Noah Morales. Noah, I hadn't heard your name before. I think you were JV last year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then all of a sudden in the Vandergrift game, it seemed like I called your name out 25 times with hits and tackles.
Yes, sir.
Are you enjoying it now?
Yes, sir. Definitely am. It's definitely a big change, from JV to varsity, but just getting used to it was, I went into that game thinking like, oh, I don't know what to expect, and then I hit the running back, and I was like, man, this is fun.
Oh, that's
and
good.
Then from there, it was like clockwork. It was just hitting and reading everything, doing my job.
So, do you feel like I was a strong safety in high school, and I felt like when I felt my game was good, it seemed easy, like I didn't have to think a lot. Things just flowed in your head. You look at this set, they're going to do this, and you do that to blow it up. Does that kind of come now that you're playing? Does it kind of flow through your head and you don't have to think about it too much?
Yes, definitely. Once you start getting rolling, it's like you just, everything seems like practice. You practice how you play. Coach Battle says that all the time. He's like, oh, they're going to run this, and then you see it. You see them actually running, and it's like, oh, wow, I did this all week in practice, and you just hit it perfect and make Coach happy.
What's your best moment so far in the first 3 games? What moment have you enjoyed the most?
Definitely when probably one of the big stops in Vandergrift. I can't remember which one, but it was one of the big stops in Vandergrift. I had a big hit and then came off the sideline. And usually Coach has something to yell at me for, something to critique, and then he comes up. He's like, "Good job."
Oh, yeah, that is fulfilling, isn't it? That gets the hair on your neck.
Oh, yeah.
Going, oh, he liked it. He liked it. Yeah.
That's always
Yes,
good.
I want to please those coaches.
We're calling your name so much this season, and I don't know, like, it seems like you have a good ability, like Brad was saying, to find a nose for the football and just get to the action. What's something in your game that you feel like you need to work on through these first 3 games that you've kind of on your own game?
I'd definitely say take better angles. That's a big thing when they run. Like,
It's hard to do that when you got to go against a lot of speed.
Exactly. Like whenever any team runs like any outside stuff or anything, I just got to take better angles.
That's cool.
Tracking the hip, just how like Coach says.
So, Noah, you're a senior.
Yes, sir.
So what are your plans for post-Cedar Park High School days?
I haven't really thought about college football much. Obviously I was on JV last year, so it's like
Not a lot of film on you yet to shop around.
Yeah, hasn't gotten anything. So, I mean, definitely college is a big thing. Going to get into college, and then from there decide what I want to do later.
That's definitely, though. I mean, you're going to have a lot of film, though, from this season. And if
I
that's
think
something,
so.
if that's something that you truly want to do, then you definitely are in the right place with the right coaches to get you to that point if you wanted to, because I'm telling you, you got a good engine. You flow to the ball really good, and it's exciting. I like the big hits. Keep them coming.
All right, thanks. Noah Morales, a senior linebacker, playing really well for the Black Rain this year, and looking forward to seeing him in subsequent games. And next, we're talking to Lance White. And Lance, you got a little different story than a lot of these other linebackers.
Yes, sir.
Tell
I do.
folks about that may not be aware.
So I am a 4-year now I'm a 4-year cancer survivor. My anniversary for when I was diagnosed was September 3rd. So it's officially been 4 years since
Congratulations.
since that day. So it's definitely a blessing to know that I'm here and I'm able to spend this time with my buds, my friends all the time. And football is the main thing that helps me connect with them the most, and that's like my most exciting thing to do. I don't get to play right now. I have low bone density, but it's definitely a blessing to be on that field by their sides that whole way.
What was the type of cancer that you're?
I had ALL, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It affects your white blood cells and your
and that's
red
why
blood
you've got
cells.
bone
Yeah.
density issues then.
So, I got bone density issues from the chemo.
Chemo.
And Christine was the one that ended up giving me it, which is the drug you take most, and it's probably one of the most toxic ones you can take. But you get that every time you go in, and that's the angering part about chemo is that they just keep hitting you with the same thing over and over again, and it's hard to wrap my mind around.
So 4 years since you got the diagnosis, how long since your last treatment when you're done and out from under that?
Well, I'm actually done. I'm done with chemo officially. I'm just going in for monthly blood checks. I'll be probably doing that for the next 3 years. I'm doing 1 month right now. Then it's going to move on to 2, then 3. Then slowly I'll move out of it. And that's that's the real thing I'm looking forward to, is just not having to go back into that doctor's office, because there's some memories that I want to let go, and those are some of them.
Well, I can tell you for one that you're going to make a lot with this team, and I think that's kind of the cool thing is my senior year, one of my best friends, he actually just graduated from law school, Kevin Bratcher, who played on the offensive line for Cedar Park. He had cancer his freshman year, and just his presence around the team when he was going through all that, and even when he wasn't, we were with him. I mean, it's just something, it's a brotherhood that's different, and so, I mean, that's just hats off to you, man.
It's definitely a different story. I feel like I'm connected more with my friends. I mean, Noah was actually one of the ones that stuck through me with a lot of it. I can't remember. Was it you? It was you, Braden, and Perry. They actually came and gave me my first console, Xbox 360.
Oh.
It was my first console. I was probably a month into treatment, so I was literally diagnosed at the beginning of that month. So it was still September probably. And I remember Dad calling me into the living room, and he came in and got me because I couldn't walk at this point. My muscles were gone at this point. I had to learn to re-walk again and all that stuff. And so he came, dragged me in there, and I sat down, and they're all sitting in there, and I'm kind of just like, what's going on? And they got an Xbox there, and I'm like, wait, this is for me? And it really helped connect me to the outside, I'll tell you that, because isolation, it does a lot to you. It messes with your head a little bit. Up to then, I only had TV, so I could only watch TV for a little bit. But then when I got an Xbox, I could connect to my friends, which allowed me to do a lot. And I also have a foundation that's trying to promote that. We are putting a bunch of consoles into Dell Children's at 4 North. We're about to do the final install up there, and we're putting in, I believe, 12 PlayStations and 12 Xboxes, and we're going to finish that up. We've already got 4 in there right now, I believe.
What? That's
awesome.
Terrific. That's great.
It's definitely I've met so many people that have come to me and go, This helped my son. There's one specific one. He came to our last game actually, and he connects with his brother through Xbox. When he goes to the hospital, he asks for an Xbox room, and he can connect with his brother, and that's the main goal for it, is just to connect to that outside, because you can't get out of that room.
Right. That's
and,
awesome.
TV doesn't, like you said, TV doesn't help you. Everybody complains about how bad TV is, and it's even worse if that's the only thing you got. Well, Lance, I keep looking at it from the perspective of your parents as well, and having a child with a mortal affliction and all the possibilities it could entail. It eats to my soul. I have a granddaughter who was born with her heart put together wrong, and they said that basically if they don't do anything about it, somewhere between the age of 13 and 30, she's just going to die because her heart's going to quit. So they had to have this big operation where they go in. She was only 7 years old when they did it. Take her heart apart and put it back together right. And they said that she has a 75% chance of surviving the surgery. I thought, man, 1 in 4 that she doesn't come out of the operating room. And the kind of thing that pulls on parents and grandparents when your child is going through that is it puts 10 years on you for every 2 years you go through it. So I feel for your parents. I'm sure you got a lot of support from them.
It affected my parents a lot. I think it hit my dad the hardest because, I did baseball a lot, and he was always there to be by my side, coach me, all that stuff. And, I think that really hit him when he finally realized, he can't do that for the next, few years. And so he actually had to quit work. He had to quit work and take care of me. That was his goal. Wow. And my mom stayed in work. She works at UT, and she pretty much brought in what we needed, and my dad just stayed by my side the whole way. I can't be more grateful than a father that will stay by my side the whole way.
No kid.
It's a special connection that we have. We don't get along all the time. It's like a normal father-son relationship, but I love him to death, and I can't say no more about that.
So, time to start thinking. What are you going to do after Cedar Park High School?
So I'm not thinking about any sports or anything, but I am thinking about my foundation, and I'm thinking about doing 2 years of ACC, getting some core classes out of the way, and doing a transfer over and studying business and nonprofit, and finally bringing my foundation to probably what I believe is going to be the goal that I ultimately dream for, and that is to go nationwide, and that would be like my ultimate dream, and I'd love to have that happen.
Well, people who succeed at whatever they're going to do usually are people who have a personal investment in it, and you have got that. So I have no doubt that if that's the route you go, you're going to meet your goals. Lance White talking with us here on Timberwolf Night in America. And now, Lance, if you'll pass it to Jackson Rogers. And Jackson, here's another name we've called a lot. Called it some last year as well. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
Now, are you a senior? You're a senior,
yes,
right?
sir, I am.
So you got decisions to make coming up with your future as
Yes,
well.
sir.
You're one of the few guys coming back who played a fair number of snaps last year in the linebacking core, right?
Yes, sir.
How was that last year with Matt going down, or the big 3 big comebacks? It was quite of a momentous season.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and especially being on varsity as a sophomore and a junior, I built a lot of relationships with the guys from the past, and they really did show me like the ways of how to being a true Black Rain linebacker.
Oh, that's great that even the players have that institutional knowledge that they can pass on from layer to layer of players.
I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty salty towards linebackers. They kept me up at night during high school. I was the scout team running back warrior.
Oh,
I dominated. No, I'd get up and laugh. Ha, 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 ha. It doesn't hurt, even though I'm limping back to the huddle. Had to give him a good look, though.
Jackson, what's been your best moment this year?
My best moment this year was probably when I popped the San Angelo Central quarterback and made him fumble in the first quarter.
That was a pretty good moment.
That was
for us upstairs as well, by the way.
I got to work on my play-by-play etiquette. I scream into the mic way too much.
Oh, I do the same thing. That's why we're not working for ESPN.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. K-Mac is good.
That's all right. We like doing this program anyway. So, Jackson, what as you got this no pass, no play thing, so you got to get your nose to the grindstone. We've heard from the coaches before that the average GPA of Cedar Park football players is actually better than the average GPA of the school, much to y'all's credit. And I know that's a nose to the grindstone kind of thing. What is your favorite and least favorite of your coursework at Cedar Park High School right now?
My favorite would probably be, well, not this year, but last year, English 3 with Miss King. She's a great teacher, and she's like a really fun teacher, and just everyone loves her. And least favorite class, I'd have to say this year, calculus. I'm already dropping it. Yeah, that's not working out too well.
I was not a math liker myself. I made straight A's and made B's in math because I just kind of did.
Yeah.
I don't mind practical problems, some trigonometric thing you got to solve to navigate an airplane from one place to another, and weather and wind speeds. To solve a problem with math, I like that. But to stare at a sheet full of long division problems,
Yeah, it's a killer.
Yeah, you got to do as many as you can in 5 minutes or something. No, don't like that at all. So yeah, math is not the one that I held my nose to the grindstone either. What are you thinking about when you're done with Cedar Park? What are you thinking about doing with your life after that?
When I'm done with Cedar Park, I'm really not trying to play any sports outside of high school. I'm definitely going to focus on my college once the season's over, and I'm going to plan on getting my business degree and going into commercial real estate.
Cool. Not any particular school that you have in mind yet or anything?
I've had a few, just like Arkansas. I've taken a visit up there. It's a beautiful campus, but I still got more schools to look at.
They might need some football players. They just lost to North
they
Texas.
have an open trial right now, brother. They could use your help.
All right, Jackson Rogers. And Jackson, you shunt the mic over to Sebastian Duran. Sebastian, what class are you this year?
Senior this year.
Senior?
Yes,
Good. We
sir.
got at least 3 seniors here amongst the backers. And Sebastian, I don't remember your name from last year, so I imagine you were on the JV and came up.
Actually, last year I didn't play. I took a year off trying to figure out a few things with school. And then that year was just brutal because I saw all my friends going out to football games and like
you missed it too much.
I missed it way too much. I like those summer mornings, like in the time you dread it, like waking up at 6 in the morning to be there at 7. But like looking back and not playing that summer, I was just like, man, like I can't do that. Like I got to be with my friends, like out there, like playing football. And like looking back, you miss it. And like I don't want to like play that senior year without football. And just looking back and wishing I could have played it.
And the coaches, I'm sure, have said this to you. They've said it to fans as well. And that as big an important ingredient as the kind of offense you run and your scouting job and your conditioning is the camaraderie of the players and the fact that they play for each other and that they enjoy that teamwork thing. And I tell you something, I don't know if you've run across this yet at the tender ages that you guys are 17, 18, but by the time you're my age, you recognize this too. It's different for guys than it is girls. I had 3 daughters, a couple of them played sports. Mm-hmm. I never saw the kind of thing that team meant to girls and women. in athletics as it means to men and guys to be a part of the team. And really, it's not a cliche to say, if I don't play it down, but I do something in practice every week that helps the team win and we win, I'm okay with that.
Live and die by that. I lived and died by that.
Yeah, and have them mean that.
Oh, I gave him a good look.
And it's so important to have that. And I know exactly what you were missing. That's what you were missing is being
that brotherhood that I missed.
The brotherhood of effort or something like, hey, there you go, use that, the brotherhood of effort.
So you're 3-4 defense, so you're a middle linebacker?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Who calls the defensive signals for us in the linebacking corps?
Calling out the defense, like coaching-wise?
Well, I know they relay it, but does everybody just read it off the coach, or does a linebacker be kind of a quarterback of the defense? And
It's usually Morales or I, and we relay that to the D-line because the D-line's usually focused on seeing what the O-line's going to come out.
Looking for an oxygen
we
tank.
relay it to each other as like a team, and we just make sure everybody gets the call, and if somebody doesn't get the call, we make sure they get that call. And we ask each other because we have that team chemistry, I believe, that we're not afraid to talk to each other like in like the suspense of the game. Like we can talk to each other, like no matter what down it is, what the like score is, we can still talk to each other, asking each other what the play is.
so you guys spend a lot of time together, playing the same position, obviously in practice and in games. What about do y'all find each other at lunch? Do you have the same lunch periods and find each other at lunch?
Usually, if we all have an off period, we'll go get something to eat.
Yeah.
Probably before we have to go head back to practice, we'll go get something to eat, go to somebody's house, and just play like PlayStation, cool off before, or just like hang out before like having to go back to practice.
Yeah. Who is the funniest guy in the linebacking corps? Who could be a guest on Saturday Night Live?
I'd probably have to say probably Javion. Javion's pretty funny in the locker room.
All right, I love it. Who's the most serious guy in the linebacking corps?
Me? Sam? Probably, yeah, Sam, I'd have to say serious.
He's coming up next.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
thanks a lot. Sebastian Duran. I'm sure that's not the first time somebody's done that to you. No. I'm cone, so I'm ice cream cone or traffic cone. And back when Saturday Night Live came out with the cone heads, it was Conehead for a couple of years. And yeah. Those of us with weird last names just have to put up with that. Now, Sam Muir, last guy here tonight. Sam, are you a senior as well?
Yeah, I'm a senior.
A lot of seniors on the linebackers. So what's your best moment as a Timberwolf so far?
It's really hard to pick out a best moment. For me, I was a scout team player for the freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year. And,
we can connect, brother.
something that football has offered to me that I haven't really gotten through any of my core classes at school is really that teamwork, that brotherhood feel. And, every time I go out there, I know that my brothers are playing for me. I know that my brothers are supporting me, just like I was supporting my brothers on the scout team, just like I'm supporting my brothers every snap I take at practice. And that is something that you don't really see in the classroom system. It's really competitive with GPA and everything, and it almost seems like you're butting heads.
Yep.
But, when we're out there on the football field, we're playing together.
One goal.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for post-high school?
Early on I heard you say that 1 in 3 people said engineer.
Yeah?
Well, you're going to hear a pretty obscure one that you
All right.
maybe haven't heard.
A puppeteer?
I want to be an actuary.
Oh, really?
So
that's one we've never heard in all the years we've done the show.
Never heard. Wow.
Describe to people what an actuary is.
You calculate risk. You calculate risk, and you work with statistics and calculus to calculate risk.
So you like math?
I do like math. I'm actually the president of the Math Honor Society.
The mathletes. Yeah, the mathletes. Oh, Jackson, he was there too.
That's okay.
That's cool. You got a school in mind? Where do you go to school to be a good actuary?
Right now I'm thinking about, my top choice university is the University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League, and then Carnegie Mellon, and then in-state TCU and Purdue as well.
What kind of businesses need to employ a good actuary?
Insurance companies, mainly. Insurance companies, property and casualty insurance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a new one, Josh.
That's a legit plan, man. I'm not going to lie. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I thought puppeteer would have been good. Actuary.
That's
awesome. Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
thanks a lot to Sam Muir. So we've been talking with our linebacker, Sam Muir, Sebastian Duran, Jackson Rogers, Lance White, Noah Morales, Javion Mays, and their coach, Steve Battles. We're going to pause for a moment and go over some of the scores we had last week. Then we're going to come back to the guys and play a little game. Here's some of the scores from 11-5A, our district. Rouse beat Pflugerville Weiss, the new school over there in Peeville, 41-13. Raiders are 2-1. Manor lost to Liberty Hill. Liberty Hill gave Hutto all it could handle last week.
Liberty Hill, man.
Beats Manor 38-12. Mustangs fall to 1-2. Connolly beat Bastrop 26-16. Cougars are 1-2. Georgetown over South San Antonio, 45-25. Eagles are 3-0. And Hutto's game with El Paso del Valle was canceled. Hippo is still 2-0, and they'll just play 9 regular season games because of that. Hutto and Georgetown square off in the first week of district play in just 10 days. So one of them is going to be saddled with a loss. Other scores of interest around the area: Westlake beat Aiken 67-0. Chaps 2-1, 1-0, and 25-6A. Lake Travis beat Bowie 42-21. Cavs are 3-0, ranked number 6 in 6A. They're 1-0 and 25-6A. Vandegrift over Cedar Ridge, and what to me is an upset. Vipers
Agreed.
3-0, 1-0, and 13-6A. Yeah, I just felt like Cedar Ridge looked like a better
Seeing
football
both
team
teams
than
in
Vandegrift
action,
to me when we saw them both.
I totally 100% agree with that.
I know Cedar Ridge led most of that game, and Fandy won that in overtime. Vista Ridge fell to McNeil 49-21. Rangers 0-3, 0-1 and 13-6A. Leander and Tim Smith fell to Stony Point 33-9. Lions are 1-2, 0-1 and 13-6A. The Glen Grizzlies. Rob Shanefield, our former running backs coach, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator for a while at Cedar Park. They beat McCallum 30-26 at the GUP Thursday night. Their first varsity win ever. It's their first year with seniors. They're 1-2. And in one of the biggest games in Austin, Crockett beat Manor New Tech 49-8. Cougars 1-2.
There you go.
There you go.
Go Cougs.
All right, now one of our favorite segments of the show. We're going to play one of our trivia games with the guys. This game is called Largest Stadiums in Texas. And Josh, if you could find our various sound files for this. We're going to split up into 2 teams, guys. One, we're just going to go right down the line right here, 3-3. So Muir, Duran, Rogers are on one team, and I'll appoint Muir the captain. And Lance, Noah, Javion are on the other. I'll appoint Lance the captain to that one. And here's what we're going to do. Each team's going to take turns providing the names of stadiums in Texas that they think have a large capacity. Now, these are field sports stadiums, so baseball, football, soccer, not racing venues like the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth. You get points commensurate with how many people that stadium will actually hold. So if you guess, say, John Doe Stadium and that venue seats 5,280 people, you get 5,280 points. And you don't have to get the name of the stadium exactly right if you don't know what they're calling it now, especially the professional stadiums. They seem to change naming rights all the time. Just say what team plays there. We can look it up. We can get it right. And in the end of 7 back and forth innings, we'll see if we have a winner. If we're tied, we might be able to go into extra innings. Now, what I've done is I've compiled a file that has the 17 largest stadiums of any kind, except for Texas Motor Speedway in Texas. Some of them are baseball, some of them are football, some of them are college, some of them are pro. And you're going to guess those, and we'll do that. So I'm going to flip a metal coin, and I'll say Lance White's team is the visitors, and they will go. No, let's do it the other way. Sorry, Lance.
Ooh.
We're going to have Muir's team go first. It's just easier for me to to do this with my mind.
Oh, yeah, I like
Make sure
that.
I don't get them confused on the thing.
Don't screw up the left brain and the right brain.
All right, so Sam Muir, Sebastian Duran, Jackson Rogers, give us what you think is a large stadium in Texas.
The Texas A&M Stadium, Kyle Field.
Kyle Field is a good one. Let me put it in here. It has a capacity of 102,512. It is the second largest stadium in the state and the 5th largest stadium in the country. And they lead 102,512 to nothing, because here's the first guess from Lance White's team.
The Dallas Field AT&T Stadium.
Ooh.
And like 75,000.
Well, we're going by total capacity. So AT&T is actually the biggest stadium in Texas.
Other team.
Oh, yeah, I'm going. That's. I'm glad you're watching me there. That's the kind of mistake I'm bound to make. AT&T, and they seat 105,121. So you lead by 2,609 points right now. Okay, next, back to Sam Muir's team for their second guess. A big stadium in Texas.
University of Texas, DKR.
DKR. That is the third largest stadium in Texas at 100,119 official capacity. So back to the Lance White team. We've had Kyle Field guest, AT&T, and DKR. Those are the three biggest in the state. What else you got,
What
Lance?
about NRG?
NRG is a good one. We played there. It is the fifth largest in the state. NRG has a capacity of 71,995. All right, so Muir's team leads by about 25,000 seats right now. Back to them for inning number 3, top of the inning. What do you guys got?
The Texas Rangers baseball stadium
Rangers
in Arlington.
Ballpark in Arlington, wherever they call that these days. And that is the 11th largest, 48,114. You know, it's really amazing to think with a stadium, a Major League Baseball stadium of 48,000 people, and in this state for big stadiums, it's only the 11th largest stadium in the state. I mean, you've been there, look around, it's a big stadium.
It's my favorite thing about the broadcasting gig is going to all the stadiums.
All the
I love that
stadiums
part.
we get to see. All right, the Lance White team. What do you guys guess? Javion, Noah, Lance.
I'm going to go on with Fenway Park.
Oh! Not in Texas.
Oh, that's not. Oh, it's not, is it?
It's not in Texas. That's a 0. That's a swing and a miss.
Dang, I forgot.
Oh, we are merciless in our scoring here. We don't like to let people get away with anything.
I forgot that's not it.
All right, we're through 3 innings, and the Muir team leads by about 73,000. And it's their guess. Inning number 4.
The Houston Astros stadium.
Astros Minute Maid Park. It is the 15th largest. So it's worth some points. Think of that. Minute Maid Park's not small. 41,168. And it's the 15th largest stadium in Texas.
Oh, I gotta see then. Did you have your list?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh man.
All right, Lance White's team, their 4th guess.
The Jones AT&T Center. The new one.
Jones AT&T in Lubbock.
Yes.
Right, that's on there. I'll just say Lubbock. Yeah, a couple of AT&Ts in Texas. And the one in Lubbock is the 8th largest at 60,454. It's going to be hard to catch these guys with that one swing and a miss, though. Down by 54,000. You're going to need them to swing and miss. Here's their 5th guess.
Okay, the stadium in Waco for Baylor.
Yeah, McLean Stadium, that's number 12. And McLean Stadium sees 45,140. The score now with Lance White's team's 5th inning guess coming. The bottom of the 5th is now 337,000 to 237,000.
Cotton Bowl Stadium.
Cotton Bowl's a good one. That almost narrowed the gap. That's the one real big one that we hadn't guessed yet. They are 4th largest in the state, 12th largest in the country at 92,100. Almost made up that 100,000 gap. You'd be in the lead if you hadn't whiffed on Fenway. All right, here we go for inning number 6. 2 guesses left for each team. Sam Muir's team's up next.
The Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
Alamo Dome, good one. Alamo Dome is sitting at number 6 in Texas, 64,000. Lead now 71,383. Next to last guess for Lance White's team. Lance and Noah and Javion. What do you got?
The Rice Field of the football.
Rice Stadium. You know, this is kind of a rip.
Bigger than it should be.
Because I know Rice Stadium was built and went for many years with a capacity of over 72,000. And recently they downsized it. 72,000 would have really helped you because you're only down 71,383. But right now, they have covered over some seats to not show so many empty seats because, you know, it's a school that's barely bigger than Cedar Park, about 3,000
man, I
enrollment.
hate it. I went to it so much. What was Baylor's old stadium called? I went
Casey,
to every...
yeah.
Floyd Casey. They did that in their end zone.
Yeah. Rice seats 59,000. So the gap now is just 12,383 with one guess left. This one, the last one for the Sam Muir team.
The TCU Stadium in Fort Worth.
TCU Stadium is called, what do they call it now? Amon Carter, yeah. And it's on the list at 13 seats, 45,000. Okay, so here's the poop for Lance White. He needs to guess a stadium that seats 57,300 384. Let me see if there are any on here that have not been guessed. There's one. There's only one. You got to guess this one, and it's going to be kind of a hard one.
Don't say anything.
You got to really open your mind to all the possibilities. This is not one you'd think about.
Sun Bowl Stadium?
Sun Bowl is the next largest you could have possibly guessed, and it's not quite big enough. It seats 51,000. So you lose by just 6,383. The one you needed to guess was the Astrodome. Nobody uses it, but it's still there. It seats over 62,000 people. That's why I said I knew it was going to be hard for you to guess. So of the top stadiums, the Astrodome is the only one of the top 13 that you all didn't guess. So you did a great job, actually. I thought we'd have more swings and misses than Fenway. And if he'd remembered that we were thinking about Texas, he probably would have got something on that one. So our final score tonight for Sam Muir's team, which was Sam, Sebastian, and Jackson, 446,053. And Lance White's team, which was Lance, Noah Morales, and Javion Mays, they had 439,670, lost by only 6,383 seats in a combined total between the two teams of 885,723 people.
And we've played in most of those.
Yeah, let's see. We played at AT&T Stadium, number 1. We played at Kyle Field, number 2. We played at DKR, number 3. Played there a couple times.
Have we not
AT&T
played at
a couple times. We've not played at the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, we played Texas 3 times.
Against Crosby twice.
Played at NRG
and
twice.
Lake Travis.
Played at Alamo Dome umpty-ump times. And then we kind of start falling
McLean?
off. McLean, number 12.
That's it.
I guess that's it. Alito twice, right?
That's still alive. That's crazy.
The stadiums that did not get mentioned that are in these top 17 are, of course, Astrodome and TDECU Stadium in Houston. That's where the Houston Cougars play. Seats 42,000. Gerald J. Ford Stadium, not the ex-president. That's SMU Stadium in Dallas, seats 32,000. And Apogee Stadium in Denton, where North Texas plays, seats 30,850. Some interesting stuff, actually, about big stadiums in Texas. 30 years ago, a 65,000-seat stadium would have been among the top 15 largest in America. Now, a 65,000-seat stadium like the Alamo Dome would be only the nation's 59th largest. And of all the states, ours is far and away the leader in the number and size of biggest stadiums. 2 NFL teams, 2 Major League Baseball teams, 10 D1 BCS college football programs go to that. All of these following statements are true. Texas is the only state in the union with 17 stadiums of 30,000 or greater capacity. They're the only state with 15 stadiums that seat 40,000 or more. The only one with 10 stadiums to seat 50,000 or more. The only one with 8 with 60,000 or more. The only state with 5 stadiums of 70,000 or more. And the only state with 3 stadiums capable of holding more than 100,000 fans. Stadiums in Texas are so big that of all Major League Baseball stadiums in the U.S., only Dodger Stadium, which is the largest Major League Baseball stadium there is, if it was sucked up and plunked down in Texas, it would make the list of the state's top 10 largest stadiums, sneaking in at number 10. That's how big stadiums are in Texas.
And they're beautiful, too. All of them.
And they're beautiful, too. All of them. They need to be beautiful. All right. We are now to the preview of Katy Cinco Ranch, where Coach battles to come in and talk a little bit about what we're going to need to worry about with them defensively here in a moment. Here's kind of the thumbnail sketch. Cinco Ranch Cougars, that's their mascot. They're probably the best football program in Katy ISD over the last few years that is not named Katy. They went 8-2 last year in a hurricane-shortened season. Their only losses to Katy and in the playoffs, Ridge Point. In 2016, they lasted longer in the postseason than Cedar Park did, going 11-4 and winning 4 playoff games and advancing to the state semifinals, where they fell to Cibolo Steel, who would fall to DeSoto the next week in the 6A state title game. The year before that, in 2015, when we won state, they won their first 9 games before dropping the last 2 to Katy in the regular season and to Houston Bel Air in the first round of the playoffs. In 2014, they went 9-3, winning round 1 of the playoffs, but falling in round 2. From 2014 through last season, 2017, Cinco Ranch's record, very impressive, 37-11 all told. But to start off 2018, the Cougars are 0-3, and they've given up a lot of points in so doing. They open with a 32-21 loss to Cypress Ranch. not usually considered one of the stronger Cypress ISD teams, but which 2 weeks ago did beat Westlake 25-21. In their second game, Cinco Ranch fell to Houston, Jersey Village 50-48, and last week they fell to Pearland 56-28. So the Cougars have played three pretty good teams, lost to each of them, and have given up a total of 138 points, an average of 46 a game. They've scored 97, an average of 32 a game. They play in District 19 6A in Region 3. Texas football picks them second in that district, raised behind, of course, Katy, the default, and ahead of Katy Taylor and Katy Seven Lakes. I knew Katy Taylor in high school. She was a nice girl.
Hey-o.
Let's see, enrollment there, 3,161. That's more than 50% larger than Cedar Park. The Cougars are coached by Don Clayton. They returned 8 offensive and 2 defensive starters from last year, and those numbers appear to be borne out by the point totals on both sides of the ball so far. They have a solid and proven O-line, and our own experience verifies that this can take you far. They don't have a lot of ball movement stats returning from last year. Their leading returning rusher is Sanders Crawford. He's 5'10", 190, runs 4.4. He had 606 yards rushing last year and 6 touchdowns. Their leading receiver is Justin Hull. He's 5'2", that can't be right. 170 pounds, 4.5 speed, had 571 receiving yards and 4 touchdown catches. Their quarterback is Cam Harper, 6'1", 180, 4.6 speed, who started 7 games last year, going 31 for 74, just 42%, with 6 touchdowns, 4 picks. This year they average 171 yards rushing, 231 passing. Cam Harper is 36 for 72, for 648 yards, but only 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. My mouth is watering. He also has 175 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. Sanders Crawford, their main back, has only 157 yards rushing, and 55 of that was on 1 touchdown run. Another running back, Trey Henderson, has 129 yards, but 47 of that was on his lone touchdown run. Nobody else even has 100 yards rushing on the season. Top receivers are Hull and Brandon King, who have 298 and 274 yards, respectively. Pretty respectable totals. Their leading tacklers are linebackers Michael LaPalamento and David Gabenda with 15 and 16 solo tackles, respectively. Each has 3 TFLs, and that number leads the team as well. Their defense is forced only 1 fumble and picked off just 1 pass. So there's kind of the thumbnail sketch of Katy Cinco Ranch. And Coach Steve Battles is our defensive coordinator. What is it that they look like they try to get done? What do we have to worry about and do well ourselves to stop them?
Well, like you said, they have an experienced offensive line. They have a team captain on that offensive line, a 2-year starter, 3-year starter. They're big. They have 2 good quarterbacks. The starting quarterback has played the majority of the time, but they also have somebody that comes in. He's also a runner. They have the good running back, like you said, and then they also have 2 very fast receivers. They have 5 guys that run 4.5, 4.6 speed. They're going to run the quarterback. They're going to spread the ball around. They're going to give it to everybody they got. They're going to, throw it. They're going to hand the jet off to the receivers. They're going to run the running back. And the quarterback also does a good job of, he'll give it to the running back and fake like he's going to run it. And then all of a sudden he'll take off with it. So that's something that we're aware of.
So they move the ball around a lot and
try
to tire us out, huh?
They spread it around. They're a good football team. They were very Cedar Ridge, had a lot of talent as well. They may have a little bit more in the skill area, but our biggest deal is just focusing on us. I feel like the last 3 games we've played pretty good. The D-line, the linebackers, secondary, I couldn't be proud. I couldn't be more proud of all of them. Our defensive staff has done a great job. We do have some guys, Morales played defensive line. One of our starting outside linebackers is not here tonight. He was a safety. We've got some guys that have came from new spots. Our first ball game, I would say probably 7 out of the 11. It was their first start as ever.
And they did well, too.
As a varsity player and at that position.
Vandy's offensive output in that game, they're 3-0, is the least of their 3 games, and they're playing our new guys.
And so, we're getting experience every time the ball snapped. That's something that we are always looking at is get better every time the ball snapped. Every game is the most important game because it's the next one kind of attitude. The the biggest problem we have right now is the big play. 4 to 6 to 8 plays each game has been over half of their offense, and that this comes, I think, with the lack of experience. They're gaining more and more every time we get out there. They're more and more confident every time they step out on the field and are learning how to work together. And I'm excited to go up against another good football team,
right,
and see what they can do. It's going to be exciting.
I think so too. Thanks. Defensive coordinator and linebacker coach Steve Battles giving us his defensive point of view of what we've got to do against Katy Cinco Ranch coming up Friday night. And Josh, this will be the farthest east regular season game Cedar Park has ever played.
Here we go. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a fun road trip. Excited to get off work a little bit early, too.
Yeah, we're going to leave about 1, something like that, so we get time to eat when we get there and get set up at Legacy Stadium. It's one of the more talked about new high school stadiums in the state. Anxious to see that as well.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good time. And I just think when hearing about the offensive stats, it's exciting for Katy Cinco Ranch about how many turnovers that they have. It's fine you have all this athleticism. When you have these dual-threat quarterbacks, they tend to make mistakes when something isn't happening or the pocket collapses, and that's what these guys right in front of us do very well of, is not giving quarterbacks time to make those decisions, rushing those progressions, and making decisions that just aren't right. And our defense will capitalize on those opportunities. So I expect a hard-hitting game from start to finish, and the offense is going to get out there and continue to improve on that rushing attack. And I don't think the passing game is going to have any troubles, and hopefully we can just pick up where we left off.
Coach Battles tells us from the defensive point of view what we're going to expect from them, but from our offensive point of view, I'm salivating at seeing that their defense has only got 2 guys back who played,
right,
and they're giving up 46 points a game.
Yep.
I'm liking that for our offense. If we can get our own 46, that'll make the pressure a little less on these guys, these linebackers, and the rest of the Black Rain. All right, that's it for tonight. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday night at 7:30 Central Time from Mouton's across the way. Our guests will be the offensive line. We'd like to thank our guests tonight: Cedar Park linebackers Sam Muir, Sebastian Duran, Jackson Rogers, Lance White, Noah Morales, and Javion Mays, and their coach Steve Battles. This year's sponsors: Family Emergency Room. That's right behind us over here, brand new. U.S. Money Reserve, Danny's Barbershop, Coal Fire, Mouton, Southern Bistro, Maggiores, where we are right now, Toyota of Cedar Park, Jeff Dietz Allstate, The Grass Patch, Alzer's Barbecue, Parker Electric, SRK Financial Group, Army Ant Moving, and the law offices of Travis Williams. See you Friday night from Houston with KMAX Sports Live, worldwide broadcast. Game 4 of the 2018 campaign, the final non-district game as the Timberwolves face off against the Cougars of Katy Cinco Ranch at Katy ISD's brand new Legacy Stadium. You're listening to KMAX Sports on the Vype Network. Hunt 'em.
This is the KMAX Sports Network.